Welcome to the Automotive Diagnostic Podcast. We're going to explore ways to sharpen our diagnostic skills, find learning resources, and hear from experts in the automotive field. Hey, what's going on, automotive world? Welcome to another episode of the Automotive Diagnostic Podcast. My name is Sean Tipping, and I'll be your host once again for this week's episode. Thank you for joining me. On the show today, I have Don Smasal and Kyle Buell. They were on the podcast about, or I should say exactly 6 months ago. We talked about entrepreneurship, specifically in the mobile diagnostic and programming world. Both Don and Kyle had recently started out on their own with mobile programming diagnostic ADAS keys. And they were pretty early on in that venture, and myself included, at least going full time. And we had talked about regrouping 6 months later and kind of seeing where everybody's at, what we've experienced, what's new, share some stories, all that good stuff. So they're back, and we're going to do exactly that. Just get together and kind of talk about our experiences growing a business and out there in the exciting world of mobile. So I enjoyed this talk quite a bit. Hopefully you will as well. With that out of the way, let's jump in. Good evening, gentlemen. How are we doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing great.
Can't complain. I was looking, we talked last time 6 months ago. It was June or July, or late June or early July or whatever. But I know we had talked about getting back together, regrouping, because all three of us, pretty early on with starting businesses, entrepreneurship, and just getting out there, and kind of wanted to get back together, regroup, and see how everybody's doing after half a year out there grinding, and see where everybody's at. So here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are. We made it.
Yeah. We're all still alive. Check.
Yeah.
What's new? What's happening?
Go first, Kyle.
Well, got a 5-month-old baby at home. And, yeah.
Congratulations.
The short story,
that's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. The short story, I guess, with how things have grown, I'm no longer rolling around in my Jetta. As I started out with, got a Dodge Caravan that I've outfitted that I've already outgrown. Looking towards getting a transit van or a Sprinter, hopefully by mid-year this year. The reason being is I've picked up a lot more ADAS, a lot more programming. So just more equipment, need more space, need to be able to carry more. So when I get a call or, just arrange my day a little better rather than like, okay, I can bring this target this day because it fits, and then I have to bring this day. And, this just a lot more organizing, and it's getting tougher as just, the only one for Volta. The only one doing it, no plans to hire anyone, though it would be super nice. I can definitely see the benefit, but, I haven't navigated that enough or mapped it out or planned it enough to see how that would work out yet.
Yeah, that's a whole
that's a whole ball game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Caravan, what ADAS equipment are you using that fits that you're able to move around in something like that? Because that's one of my goals for 23 is ADAS stuff, and I'm trying to figure out how I want to do it.
Yeah, it's quite a trendy topic, as I've seen. And I jumped on board, did some training. I've got a friend here who does windshields, and I basically just was under his wing for a few months as he taught me kind of the ropes of ADAS and whatnot. So I bought the tried and true Autel kit, the most, familiar. And most recognized aftermarket kit. Just the MA600, the mobile stand with it's just a basic lane departure warning kit. And then I also bought the additional radar kit, the Cal Kit 3, which covers Nissan, Volkswagen, Audi. Comes with a night vision calibrator and the Doppler box, which isn't necessary for some Audis and Volkswagens on their blind spots. Some Mazdas you can actually use the Doppler box rather than the reflector, which is pretty neat. I carried around in the caravan. It's not set up. I bought the Autel cases for it as well. So the arm itself folds up into like a C, and it sits in a canvas case, and then the center beam has its own little case. The big Dorito shaped base has a case, but I mean, that's just a solid plate of steel. I don't put it in a case. And what I do is I tuck it all in and kind of bungee it into the caravan.
Okay.
behind my packets.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I make it work, nothing falls over when I turn real fast or I, brake really hard. So doing all right.
Yeah. You're always waiting, like, if you got to slam on your brakes, like, listening, like, oh, it's going to come loose or fall over or whatever.
Yeah, that's primarily what I think about. So I got the packet thing screwed to the floor and just click them in. And yeah.
Do you use the Milwaukee
it
ones?
Seems to be like, yeah, I was going to say maybe I like jumping on the trendy train. But I mean, I like the packets. They're convenient. They work. They latch down good, so
yeah, it's good quality stuff.
Yeah, it's good quality.
Yeah, I was actually looking at some of those because I don't have any pack outs right now. I've kind of been.
What?
I was doing some different things, working with like some different bags and some different setups, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly what works best. But they're on special right now at Home Depot, so I was thinking about getting some.
Yeah,
highly recommend it.
Yeah, dude, you can't go wrong, man. I mean, I got a stack in the van and then a stack in the garage, and they're great. It's always one of those things, like a new one comes out and it's like, then you buy it and then you like rearrange everything, and then you got a whole another setup just sitting there not doing anything, and it's like, okay, well,
yeah,
that wasn't very good. That wasn't very smart of me, but whatever.
Yeah, I got a few extras just hanging around.
Cool. What about you, Don? What's new?
Well, my wife joined me full time. She quit. Well, she left her field. So she was in investments. She's been in finance for, 15, 16 years.
Okay.
And I got to the point, man, where it's like, I'm blowing and going all day, running around, going from shop to shop. And then, I mean, you guys know how it's like. You come home and then you still got to invoice and you got to find connectors or buy keys or do your research, clone modules, fix things, yeah. whatever it is, the after hours stuff that a lot of people don't normally see. So I got her on board, and she, talk about a relief off my shoulders. It's been huge. We just started this year. So we just finished a month. So within the month, teaching her obviously the jargon. I mean, she knows absolutely nothing about automotive.
Okay.
So teaching her the jargon, like, hey, when someone calls and say they have a 6L80 that they just put in, what is that, right? Like, is it a Ford? Is it a GM? Like those things. And of course, asking the questions, right? The questions we normally ask, right? Does a module communicate? Can you talk to the scan tool? Is it a used module, new module? All those little details, right? All the teaching her when to ask these questions. Then obviously the shops, obviously learning who she is, because now when they call, she's answering the phone. I'm not. And the whole goal the goal of her position is going to be, she's dispatch essentially. So when the phone rings, you get her 100%. Okay. You're not speaking to me directly. She'll relay the message to me. And then if I feel like it's worth the phone conversation for me to stop what I'm doing and give them a call, then I will do that. And I'm in the process of trying to figure out how I can get any calls that I make outbound. I don't want these shops to think, oh, hey, I got Don's number. I'll call him directly now. Sure, and then if they call that number back, it'll be forwarded back to her.
Okay.
because you know what it's like. I mean,
Oh, dude.
both of you, I'm sure you're in the middle of a diag and you're hungry. It's hot. You can't think, or you're like, you're on the trail and like, you're banging away at it and you're plugging away, and then the phone rings and then somebody asks you, oh, hey, I have this used transmission I'm putting in this Audi. And then there you are, like, you have to really pay attention now, right? Like, okay, is this, and then
the harbor numbers match.
Yeah. And then, you're asking those questions, and now I just,
yeah. And then your other phone starts ringing, and yeah,
exactly. Like, then your personal phone's blowing up or somebody's calling you or whatever. And it's a fucking hassle. So,
yes.
So luckily, it's been going pretty good. She rode around with me this whole month, and she'll probably ride around with me, I'm going to say, another 2 more months. And the reason being is I want her to fully understand what it's like out there.
Sure.
She's not out there obviously diagnosing cars or anything like that, but she's out there and she can at least know, like, hey, well, every time we come to this shop, they say it's a program and it ends up not being a program. It's a diag, and we're here, and at 2 hours in or an hour and a half in. Or she knows that, hey, these shops, he's in and out. Like when it's a programming event, boom, 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 he's done in 30 minutes. So she can know when she goes to schedule, she can figure out, okay, hey, a lot 2 hours here, a lot an hour and a half there, or whatever, so, and then of course I have her meeting some of the shops, like my regular customers that always call and do business with us, getting her involved, meet people, and,
that's cool.
So,
that's really cool. Well, and that your business is doing well enough to support that she could, leave her full-time job to come on board. That's fantastic. But man, having a dispatch would be so cool. Oh man, the phone calls are such a time killer. It just breaks up the day so much.
Man, and it's hard because, like, you want, like, I don't know about you guys, but I'd much rather have a shop call me and say, hey, does this need programming? Especially if it's like a shop that, they're kind of there, but they're not. Yeah. I'd much rather they call me and ask me, and I can give them a little bit of guidance to help, because then that makes my job easier when I show up to go over there. It's already like, hey, okay, cool. Right. Like, I already know this is a used module. They got the numbers or whatever. Little things like that. I mean, just little things that help, but it's also the little things like that eat up your day. And it's like, where do you bill for that, man? Like, it's business at the end of the day. So it's hard. It's a juggle. So
yeah, all of shops call me a lot with GM stuff, and instead of, because they're like, I think this needs an update, and so I'm like, I send me the calibration in the VIN, and I just look it up because that's time out of my day, but then I'm not driving there for no reason. Yep. But and you do that 5 times in a day, and all of a sudden you spent however much time just. What are you really doing? I don't know. But having somebody answer the phone, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. So, but it's also, the challenge I currently have is having to step back with myself and say, she doesn't know the lingo. She doesn't know what you know.
Sure.
Cause it's between us three. I can tell you guys, like, you can't put, I don't know, you can't put a global A, PCM in this thing and it's going to work. Like, and you're going to program it via OBD. I mean, you guys obviously know the nuances behind stuff like that. And or Kias, right? Kia, Hyundais, those use modules and what have you. So
or like, I replaced this PCM and I can't communicate with it. Could you come program it? Something simple like that,
Yeah, exactly.
It's a security issue.
Yeah, exactly. But what's up with you? What's new with you?
It's been super crazy busy, and a lot of the things you guys are talking about where it's just so much work, and then come home and try to catch up with modules and parts and all the business owner stuff,
invoicing,
books and all that stuff. So I got an employee who he's been training in with me for the last week and a half, and we're going to do some more of that. Just ride along with me. But he's on
Oh, he's
Yeah,
fresh.
well, he's not fresh to the field, but he's fresh to doing mobile and programming.
Yeah.
Super sharp guy, knows the electrical and diagnostic side of it. He was going to leave the industry because he's been wrenching for 20 years, and he's just like,
Oh wow.
he's like, I'm done. I don't want to wrench anymore. He's like, I like part of it, but my body just doesn't like this anymore. So he's going to go drive truck. And I was talking to him this summer. I'm like, well, what about doing this?
Yeah, of course.
So I actually brought him with me I had a full schedule. So this was back in like September. And I'm like, just come with me, see if this is something you'd be interested in. And he did. And he's like, yeah, this looks really cool. So I put together a second van, and that didn't double all my equipment, but the big 3-4 GM Chrysler, which is most of my business. And then, some diagnostic stuff. But he went on his very first job by himself today, just because that's kind of how it worked out. And it was a PCM and a caravan, and it worked out just fine. And so that went well. And I'm super, super excited to have some help though, because
man,
I can't keep up with the work, and I raised my prices at the first of the year, and it didn't seem to change anything. So I'm glad to have somebody else tackle this with me.
That's awesome, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I imagine it's different for you because it's obviously somebody you're not related to, or lives under the same roof as you. But
that would be a little different. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure that's really cool, good feeling to do.
Yeah,
to make your business grow in that aspect. Because in my case, it's a little different, right? I mean, if I don't do well, she doesn't do well. So we have the common goal there.
Sure. It's scary. But it's also, it's going to be the right thing to do if you want to grow and expand. And also just to like kind of take the load off of doing everything by yourself is tough
every day. Every day.
And like last week I was sick,
day.
I mean, I don't really take time off. I just work through it. And I don't know that I would change that necessarily if I had an employee, but just the option to like, what if I do need to take a week off? Like what happens? Like it's nice to have somebody else to maybe fill in for a situation like that.
Not even just that, man, but you look at, all right, so like last week, or like yesterday was end of the month, right? So like, I don't know how many body shops you deal with, but man, that's usually a huge push. Even some repair shops, right? Like they're trying to close their books and, exactly. So, I mean, if you're feeling a little ill yesterday, you can easily just say, hey, you know what? I'll quarterback. I'll help you,
sure.
Remote support or what have you. And at least, you're sitting at home and you're your house closed, just sitting there, team viewing in, and just pointing them in the direction of what to do or what have you, and that makes a world of difference in itself too.
Yeah, having the remote capabilities sure made this more feasible for me to be able to pop into his computer. It would be there'd be a lot more training to be done if that was not the case. But having that backup sure is nice. But I've been using the team viewer myself, because it's cold as shit up here. I'm sure it's the same thing for you, Kyle. So I'll just plug my laptop in.
I'm gonna stop you right there, because yesterday and today, it's cold out here in Texas. We're not used to this kind of crap. But dude, seriously, it's so damn fucking cold, and things freezing over. I know, like Kyle's like, all right, here we go. Yeah, I know. I told him about this earlier.
Every morning.
Dude, we got trees falling down, dude. Seriously, like from all the ice and just the wet. Yeah, it's everywhere, man. It's ridiculous. It really is. It's unreal.
I'll admit, I mean, we were on a call earlier today, like we were just taking it, and then all of a sudden there was just like this loud crash, like I heard it in his mic, and he's like, "What the heck was that?" He goes inside, a freaking branch from a tree fell on his.
Yeah, fell on the roof.
Man,
I was like, dude, Jesus Christ.
Texas isn't made for ice.
No, it's not. We're not. Okay.
No, that's nuts.
Well, yeah, was it last year or 2 years ago where that ice storm just like shut down the whole state?
Yeah, well, when we had that, I mean, there was snow freaking everywhere, just like you guys up there. And dude, there was like minimal damage outside, and there was no snow. It's been like a little flurries and it's just been ice. But dude, it's so much ice and water. Like literally, man, trees are just falling down, cracking, limbs are breaking everywhere. It's unreal.
Damn.
I got a limb that's kind of scary. It's kind of sitting on a power line. And I called the electric company to come out and take care of it, but I don't think they're gonna come tomorrow. But anywho, yeah, you can go over there and you can hear the electricity like humming over there on the tree. It's just like, and it's like, oh shit, man! Like waiting for it to catch fire. It's like, oh god, like it's
unplug all your important tunes and whatever.
Anyways,
yeah, I saw that video you digging out a car from the snow to do an all keys lost yesterday.
Yeah, you saw that?
No.
Yeah. That was the most bizarre instance I've been involved in.
No.
Short backstory: like the shop called me. My son lost all the keys to his car. I was like, all right, yeah, no big deal. I get there, I don't see the car in the yard. I ask him where it is. He's like, oh, it's in the yard behind the shop next door. I'm like, the shop next door is a junkyard. I was like, all right. So he gets his guy, we go follow him, and sure enough, oh, look, it's in a snowbank. I was like, am I doing some like sketchy things here or what? Like just digging a car. He's literally on the roof of the car shoveling the hood.
Nope.
It was literally 3 feet of snow, and then he pops the hood open. And he's like, there, I think I got it for you. And I'm like, there's still a snowbank in front of the car. He's like, just step over it, you'll be fine. All right. Yeah, I had to like ram my caravan back and forth up onto a snowbank to get my cables to the car.
Man.
And started though, first time. I was like, wow. 2009 Lincoln.
Okay.
MKZ. I don't know what it was. It's an old thing. I don't know. I don't even know if it was his son's car, if it was a test, if he's trying to steal the car. I don't know.
Yeah, the snow up here has been brutal this year too. That has been one of the killers for me, is when we get snowstorms and I'm driving around and like it doubles the drive time between places.
Oh, yeah.
And for whatever reason, when I was doing this part time, it didn't seem to affect me as much as now that I'm doing it full time. And so I really got to watch the weather now when I'm doing my schedule for the next day and say, okay, am I going to be, slowed down to half the speed because it's another freaking snowstorm? But I don't know. Last couple of weeks have been good. So.
Oh yeah, but scheduling is probably the most difficult thing to manage in the winter up here.
Sean had sent that, whatever, was it a video or I can't remember, but it was the same thing. Like the car, you couldn't even freaking see it. It's just a big old snowbank. And I was like, I remember looking at that picture. I was like, hell no. It was like 70 here that day. I was like, I got the AC on in the van. I'm like, hell no, my ass will stay home all day.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm staying in my robe and my house slippers. Like, no, I ain't leaving. Nope.
Yeah, I
can't do that.
I used to always say, like, I will take the snow over the really cold stuff, like, 30, 40 below. But for the business side of it,
that's the worst.
I guess, I don't know, the cold, I guess I'd rather take the cold than the snow, because that's been the killer for getting around and driving and stuff like that, being on the road all day. But I guess it'll just make me appreciate the spring and summer that much more. Like, I'm hot. Okay, no big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Can't wait to put my runners back on.
Yeah, but I don't know how you guys do it up there, man. I really don't. I couldn't. I couldn't. I really couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's like anything else. You get used to it.
Yeah, and everyone's tempered to it, so it's like, no one wants you to work outside. They'll say, yeah, we brought it in, or we made space for you, or, most shops are pretty open arms when it comes to that.
Yeah,
nice.
It's funny because, most of my work is outside. And actually, I prefer to be outside. I don't like being in the shop, but
same here.
I don't like people conjugating around me and looking and see what I got, and I don't like it, man.
Yeah.
Even when I was in the shop, man, like I'd wrench and I'd be there, and if you weren't my neighbor or like the guy on the other side of the wall from me, like, and you were there hanging around, I didn't like it. Like, it's like, dude, go away, man. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I just don't like people watching me. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't go watch other people. I don't like other people watching me either. So it's one of those things, man. I'd rather be outside, out of the way, out of sight, out of mind. You don't even know I'm there. Just continue on your business. I'll holler at you if there's absolutely something I need to. Other than that, just give me the keys and let me go.
Yeah, I 100% agree. If it's reasonable outside, I'll do it outside, no problem. But yeah, same like you said, Kyle. The shops are pretty good around here. Like if it's cold to the point where they don't want to be outside, they're like, yeah, we'll get you a spot, we'll get the car in, whatever. And there's only a couple places where they're unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, of course. We all have those, I think.
Yeah,
those kind of customers. Yeah, it's hard to train those kind of customers when they have that kind of mindset already naturally.
Yeah, right. Yeah, let's do this wheel speed sensor diag outside without a hoist in the middle of winter.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Yep. I don't know.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and the car was in the ditch last night, and it's a snowbank now, and the jack, you need a floor jack that you can't fit underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had one shop call me for a Mercedes transmission, and it's sitting outside, and I'm like, how? I'm like, how am I gonna virginize that thing? Like, what?
Right.
So, anyways, yeah, he ended up bringing a jack out, and I did it. I jacked it up and I got underneath it and took care of it, but I definitely tacked on more to the bill.
Oh, for sure.
for doing that. I mean, I have a creeper in the van for that reason, but I was like, no, dude, I'm not. This is nope. I mean,
the one thing,
I understand you need your space, but no.
that I've been trying to figure out. I've been trying to figure this out since it got really cold. Because I've only started doing it in the last year, was the leashy stuff. So if I get an all keys lost and I'm not getting the key cut code elsewhere, like you can't do it when you can't feel your fingers. Like the leashy doesn't work anymore when your fingers are frozen. So
I respect anybody that can leashy, seriously, because I'm Team Codesmith all day.
Yeah,
all day. I buy it and go. And if it don't work, well, shit, I'm like, hey man, sorry, you need to call a locksmith. Because I ain't one.
I've had pretty good luck, but there are definitely a few that have really beat me up. Where I spent a lot of time trying to get that the read correctly. It's like for picking them outside of a couple, I've gotten pretty good where I can get it picked in a efficient amount of time, but the reading, like some are just, I think it's if they're worn out or not, but some are just way more difficult to get that read correct and get the cut correct. But the X-Horse, the Key Tool Max, has been nice because if you put in the cuts that you think it is, and then you can do I forget what button it is, but it'll like
find by biting.
Yeah, it'll tell you if it's a legit code or not. Yeah. And so at least you know if you're in the neighborhood.
We have a buddy, Gino. I think we mentioned him last time. He's our key guy, right? But his brother is a leashy master, dude. I swear.
Okay.
Well, at first he tried walking me through it on the phone, and we're FaceTiming, and he's like looking at me, and he's like, "No, you need to feel it like this," and he's like, "No, you're squeezing it too tight." He's trying to teach me over the phone. I was like, "Bro, there ain't no way in hell you're gonna teach me over the damn phone, man." But I mean, no.
How do you know I'm squeezing it too tight?
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I could tell by your hands. I was like, dude, how the fuck can you see that, bro? Like, get out of here, man. But no, super cool dude, very helpful. He actually did walk me through my first leashy, and it was funny because it was my own personal truck. I leashy it, opened it, I got it open, but I didn't decode it worth a shit. I was like, oh, I let go, and I was like, okay, I don't know what's where, but I opened it. That's cool.
I was having issues once on a Volkswagen key, trying to get the cut right. And I sent him a picture of the key, and he's like, okay, here are your numbers. Like he decoded it with his just by sight. I'm like, and it worked. I was like, what? Like, jeez, man. It was just like I was like 2 or 3 bitings off. It was those what was it, the eighth biting or something, the 7th biting.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It was a while back.
So which ones can you leashy? What manufacturers?
I'm trying to think. I've done probably Ford and GM the most, but I've done a few other random ones. Honestly, so the European ones I've done so far, like BMW, I did a Land Rover. Those ones have been the easiest for the
really?
leashy portion. Like the rest of it is a little bit more
Yeah, of
work,
course.
but
Yep.
the leashy portion, those have been the best. And my only guess is like the actual lock cylinder never gets used, right? So you get it clean, you get some lubricant in there, get it moving, but no one ever puts their metal blade in most of these cars because it's the fob style, and so they're not worn out, so you get a good read on it. But and the ones that I get beat up on are the old GMs where it's an actual blade and people are still putting it into the lock cylinder and the thing's, all freaking worn out and stuff. So, those are the ones. Yeah. I remember F-150 that I ended up going to the tailgate and I got as many cuts as I could from the tailgate. And that was enough to figure out the rest of the code. But I was doing the driver's door and I was way off. And I'm like looking at the leash. I'm like, I know that's a 4. Like, it's definitely a 4. Well, it was like a 2 or something. And it's so.
Wow.
Funny.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of fun. It's just one of those other skills that you kind of work on and see. But I get what you're saying. Like getting the code is
so much faster.
Way more efficient. Yeah. So it's like, okay, X amount of dollars to get this code, or spend maybe an hour trying to figure out the leashy.
Yeah, no, man. I mean,
yeah.
And most of the all keys lost that I personally do are for my big box dealers, dealerships, right? New car dealers. Everyone else, man, I really don't offer it. I mean, I'll do it, but
yeah, I don't
advertise it so much.
No, it's just like if people, they know I do keys, and so they'll ask, and then that's usually how I get them.
Same here. I don't. I can do keys. It's not my strongest part of my wheelhouse, but I'd rather smash buttons.
It's like a necessity for programming. So
yes,
yeah.
Yep. But keys get you drug into the shady group of people just so fast. It seems like the calls that I would start getting about keys, and I'm like trying to shut all my shops down. Like don't give out my number to people because the people that you get called about keys, it's like no.
Yeah, you get there and it's like
it's shady. Yes.
And I mean I don't know, but we had one of our colleagues in the group, and I don't know if it get to mention his name or not, but so I won't. But I know he got held up on a public call doing key work. And when I heard that, man, that was a big eye opener for me. I was like, man,
same here.
I can't afford that, man. Like, it doesn't matter which scenario, which way it goes, right? Whether they rob you and take everything, or it gets violent between you and that person.
Yeah.
And I mean, the legal repercussions behind it is just not. At the end of the day, it's not worth whatever you're charging. At the end of the day, it's not.
Yep.
Because I mean, they could take your livelihood from you, or take your life. I mean, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
People nowadays, man, as desperate as they get, it's just not worth it, man. It's just nah.
the amount of
risk
up here, it's a huge issue, as I'm sure it is everywhere else. Like just car theft. I think in my area, the police are reporting at least 30 cars a night.
Jesus Christ, that's a lot.
It's insane. Yeah. And they all go to the same place. It's a very well known thing. And it happened to one of my good shops I service. And he heard it. So he went outside with a baseball bat. I'm like, man, you gotta be careful. Let him take it.
It's the catalytic converter theft around here is just rampant. Every shop I go to, it seems like has been hit by people crawling under there and taking cats out of the cars. Just crazy.
Shorting the O2 heaters and burning up the driver in the PCM. And,
yeah, right.
Yeah, and get quite a few of those. Yeah, I'll get a call for one was a 21 Nissan Frontier, and they're like, and it was a Meineke. They're like, hey, we put a PCM in this, and I'm like, I'm on the phone listening to them. I'm thinking in my head, like, what the hell are you doing with a brand new, what? why are you putting a PCM in there? There's no reason. And then I end up getting there, and then they tell me, oh yeah, they stole the cats. And then I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
I'm like, that makes much more sense now.
Yeah, I've had that happen, and I actually had one where it was sitting in the lot of the shop for waiting for a PCM or something for quite some time, and they pushed it in. I came, programmed the PCM, fired it up, and just rah, and they didn't know the cat was cut out of it until that point. Dirt bags. There's just dirt bags out there, man.
My
it's wild. It's so wild.
My old Toyota dealer, they got hit probably 2 months ago. Man, in every Tundra on the lot, new and used, they hit them. Boom. They got hit for like 24 cats, I think, 24 vehicles.
What I don't understand is, maybe there's a simple explanation, but where are they turning these things into? Because I thought scrapyards had to take identification.
I think so. I think by law now they have to, because if I wasn't mistaken, that there was a...
That was the thing back in like 2008, because I used to collect scrap metal when I was a young tech to make some extra cash, and I had to show my ID if I was turning in cats. And so, like, where are they taking these things, or what are they doing? Are they melting them down themselves to get the metals out of there?
I don't know, man. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Right?
Who knows?
No cash, no receipt.
No trace.
Who are you? What cash?
Oh man. Do you guys have any the shops that you go to? Do they have any nicknames for you when you go into the shops? So I've got a few, but I'm curious to know. They're like, yeah, this is the computer guy. I mean, that's a pretty standard one, but anything notable?
Oh, I got one. There was this is funny because it's kind of like a running joke in our group. I did a used DME, or I should say an ME. It was for a Mercedes, and this was specifically for a service writer or service manager writer. I don't know, both roles there. And it was at his house.
Okay.
And so he tells me, yeah, it's my own person. When he told me it's his own person, I was like, okay, cool. I was like, I'll do it. I figured, and this was a new customer, never dealt with him. So I was like, all right, I'll do this job. I don't do, house calls, but this guy's, part of a shop or whatever. So he ended up having a module, and it was a no-com. Go figure. So then I ended up getting a module for him. So I supplied him the module, and then I virginized it, programmed it to the car, yada, yada. Right? And all was hunky-dory. Everything started and ran. Well, he was like, hey, man, you got to come by the shop, and let me introduce you to the shop owner. We can use a programmer, blah, blah, blah. All right, cool, whatever. So I show up, and this guy, he apparently had just took over from his dad. His dad had passed away, so he's running the show now. And it's funny because the first introduction, the service writer introduces me to him, and the guy's like, I hear you're a module man. Well, that's been our
module man.
That's been our running joke in our group, because I mean, it's typical like Southern accent, right? Like he's got that draw to him. It was just, so now it's one's a module man, and then the others are. They got some profanity in there, because it's majority Hispanic culture down here, right? So like here I'm like the one white dude in the shop, so there's names that get floated around, and I'm half Hispanic, so I talk shit with them too, and it's just typical shop stuff,
yeah, it's
how
fun a lot of the time.
Oh yeah. And then you catch the one guy that's in a bad mood, and you say the normal things, and he gets all pissed off. And
what about you, Kyle? Got any good names?
I don't have nicknames, but no nicknames.
You have a nickname.
In the group, I got a nickname. Are we thinking of the same one? Which one is it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. But I don't want to say it incorrectly. The no nicknames, but
that one too. I forgot about that one.
They have what? Oh, yeah. Okay, I don't know what you were thinking of the first time. Then I'm blanking right now. I go to a few shops and they have a whiteboard like for like random planning stuff, and some of them have a little square. Just they made a little square in the corner of their whiteboard, and it says Volta, and it has like the things that they want me to do, and so that's pretty cool. No nicknames in shops, but I got a little square here and there.
Nice. Yeah,
what's your nickname?
Well, I've heard a number of them. It's a computer guy a lot of the time. I get the Flasher a lot. And so the Flasher is actually another company in the same area in which I work. And I think that's where, and he's been around for like 10 years. So I think that's where they get the idea. And I don't know if all of them know that I'm a different company. I mean, I have a logo on my shirt, but they'll call me the Flasher. There's one guy. He's Vietnamese, and he'll tell his customers that I'm his engineer. He's like, I'm gonna call my engineer. I'm like, that's not me, but okay, whatever you want to say. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I just think it's funny.
I just remember the nickname you're thinking of, Don.
Yeah,
ADAS boy.
That's the ADAS boy.
Yeah.
The guy does so much of it. It's unreal.
ADAS boy.
We'll get on a call, and I'm like, what do you got for today? He's like, oh, I gotta go do a Subaru eyesight. I gotta go do this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, bro, I got a 6L80, a network diag, a draw, and I got a Nissan CVT, and I have an ATA key. And he's all like, oh, and he's like, rambling his schedule, and I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, dude, that's like $2,000 by lunch. Like, Jesus Christ, easy, like unreal.
It's still my goal in life is to get 100% on an eyesight.
Yeah,
it's my goal. It's so
I've worked on like 3 Subarus the whole time I've been mobile now for a year and a half now. Coming up on a year and a half, actually. Like I rarely see Subarus down here. Oh yeah. Oh, that was another thing that happened from the 6-month span. I got the full ADAS Altel mobile kit, and and it was one of those things. So my direction is going to go that way, right? Like I'm going to expand into that and get really going. I probably don't need everything. I'm pretty sure I don't, but I'm one of those people, man. I hate to not have it. Yep. I hate for somebody to call me and be like, hey, can you do this? And then I say, hey, well, let me look into it and I'll let you know. I'll give you a call back. And then I go and find out like, oh, hey, I don't have that pass through, or, oh, I don't have this. I hate being that person to call back and say, no, I can't because I'm underprepared.
Yeah.
Like that's my thing. And that's me personally, man. Like if you look at my van, it is loaded. Dude, I carry a cutoff wheel and an electric die grinder. These guys laugh at me, dude, but honestly, you'd be surprised, man. Like I'll do a key, right? Or let's just say they have a key there and it's a flip blade. And I have a blade that'll fit in it, but a lot of these aftermarket blades, man, they're not milled correctly. So like, there I am with the cutting wheel, like trying to like notch it to get it to fit in there, and I'll make it work, and it's professional, it looks good. Like I don't, produce a shitty product, but what I'm getting at is like, if I didn't have that, sure, I'd be like, oh, hey, I can't do it. I got to bring it back, or I got to go, yeah, dude, like, and and guys give me shit for that, right? Like, oh yeah, I just borrow all the tech tools. It's like, I did a steering lock for one of the Mercedes steering lock for a shop, and I didn't ask him for anything. I did it out in the parking lot in the back of the shop. Like I didn't ask him for a jack. I did everything. I pulled the column, did everything, but I had all my tools. Like it was no big deal. Like I have my 1/2-inch electric impact that I carry with a shallow set of metric sockets. And that's probably overkill too. But it's one of those things. Like if I'm doing a diag and like if there's a floor jack in the shop and I can grab it to take a tire off to do my diag, I'm gonna do it, man. Like I'm not gonna sit around and ask somebody, hey, can you do it? Like at the end of the day, I'm just gonna do it, and guess what? I'm gonna charge a shop for it. Yeah,
that was one of the.
I really don't care.
That was one of the things I was trying to consider when I was prepping my employee, because I'm kind of the same way. Like outside of certain circumstances, like if I got to take a panel off or unbolt some stuff, like I got my tools. I know I can just rip that thing out of there because I was a tech for a long time. Like I know I can just make it happen, and it's way faster. And it's just inconvenient to find somebody, drag them off of what they're doing, wait for them to, and maybe they're really slow. Maybe they're using hand tools to take out 7 mm screws, and I'm just like standing there like, oh my god, why don't you have an electric?
Dude, just get the hell out the way and let me just do it, man. Like, so I don't know. I'm an impatient person too.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And so I'm debating like with my employees, same sort of thing, because that also introduces a chance for things to get screwed up and broken and this and that. So that was kind of a tough one for me. So luckily he's a good tech, and I just kind of told him like, use your best judgment. If this looks like it's something that, if it's a plastic panel that might break or something, why don't you have the tech do it or that sort of stuff. But that is a tough one when you're in an unfamiliar shop. Like, do I just start ripping and tearing, or do I get somebody else involved? It's a weird area to be. But I carry like the basic stuff. I have like my electric, 1/4 inch and 3/8 stuff. I don't have anything 1/2 inch in my van. But all the sockets, torques,
I know, just M12 stubby with a big battery.
No.
Yeah.
No. I'm over here like, no.
I remember, when I first started packing like tools and stuff, I put my snap-on hammer and a punch, a chisel. And I'm like, I'll bring it. I don't know what I'm going to need it for. I forgot about it. And then I had a steering lock on a Sprinter, and it was not unlocking whatsoever. So I'm like rooting through my stuff and like, what am I going to do? I got a screwdriver. I could beat the handle on it. And I was like, I found my punch, and I was like, oh, sweet. So I just went to town and destroyed that thing. If I had a cutoff wheel, maybe I would have been a little bit more surgeon-like. But
oh yeah, dude, I have drill bits and I have a set of unibits. Oh yeah, dude, I got all kinds of crap. But hey, you'd be surprised though. Like on that Mercedes, it was a 204, it was a W204, and I used one of the unibits, and I was like, that hole's not big enough. I just keep going. I drill it from the top. There's multiple ways of doing it. I go from the top, and then I just stick a screwdriver in there and turn the gear.
To unlock it.
You could push the shaft in and then slide her out, and either put your steering lock in there or your emulator, whatever you're gonna do. But
okay.
I carry all that, man. I don't like to ask.
What are you using for a van, Don?
I have a Nissan NV200.
Okay.
Oh, and also in that 6 months, I put an engine in it.
Oh.
My engine blew. Yeah, that was great. That was fun. that was my MDP. I had money saved specifically for an MDP. I was like, all right, cool, great. I want to buy an MDP, and I'm buying the sub. I had the $3,800 or whatever it was. I was like, badass. By the end of the week, I'm buying that damn thing. And I actually went to a Volkswagen 2 hours away from here. So I was driving back from that location, and it was on a Saturday. And honestly, it's my fault. I went too long in between oil changes. Truthfully, oil got thin, and I spun a bearing.
Oh damn.
I couldn't be upset. That was my own doing, right? Like, I let my maintenance go. It was one of those things, man. I had been super busy that whole month, and it was a weekend, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it on Sunday. I got nothing going on Sunday. I'm going to do that, and then blew the engine the day before, right? So.
Damn.
Yeah, so luckily, one of my good shops, I do a bunch of their diag. They're very good at hanging parts. They may not know how to diagnose anything, but they're damn good at hanging parts. I dropped it off of them Saturday afternoon. Monday, they had it out. Tuesday, LKQ delivered, and then Thursday, I picked it up.
Nice.
Yeah, so I had a used engine with like 40K on it. And
can't ask.
I was rolling around in my Prius.
You still send it to the moon from a red light.
Yeah, I know. I think CVT... It howls and whines. It's over there. 5K RPM. I'm barely moving, but hey. These guys give me shit all the time. They're like, it's all that crap you got in it. I'm like, yeah, it probably is. It probably is all that weight that I carry.
Just like we know when you're leaving a stoplight because we can hear it.
Yeah, you really can. Yeah, so in my ownership of that van, I put a CVT and an engine in it. So, but it's one of those things, man. I mean,
that's not, I put a transmission in my Caravan to get it rolling.
It's one of those things too, though. I mean, when it makes you the money it does, I mean, really the cost of that, yes, it's a big repair, and yes, it is, a good chunk of money, but from a business standpoint, I mean, that's peanuts compared to what, you're doing in a week or whatever in a month.
It's very different looking at this stuff like as your personal vehicle, your personal stuff, and then business. And that's been something I've definitely discovered is like my spending thought process for the business is wildly different than my personal stuff.
Oh yeah.
I'm kind of a penny pincher. I've been accused of being a cheapskate in my personal life. Like I will, just kind of go to great lengths to not spend money on stuff. But when it comes to the business, okay, is this helping me? Is this making money? Buy it, send it. Like, let's get it going, Amazon. Get it to my house.
I'm the same way. Like when stuff gets shared in the group and I see it and I'm like, okay, this guy's doing that.
Are terrible.
And I'm like, oh,
making me spend
that
way too much.
It's like, oh yeah, Sam Brooks will share something and I'm like, okay. I'm like, send link, please.
Send link.
I'm like, link, where's expedited shipping? That one, yes, go.
Oh man.
It's fun. It's a whole new level that, like, I don't know. Like you said, I'm a petty. I was, wasn't raised with a lot of money, so it's like having that little bit of freedom in a not so personal way is kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, too, though, there's times where I'm like, okay, this can stop now. Like I'm tired. Like I want to keep some money in the account, please.
Yeah,
I'm tired of this.
You told us the first week, this is the last thing I'm buying until tax.
I did. I don't know how many times I'm like, hey, for real. Like I bought a Breedis, right? Like I bought the Breedis pass through, and then I bought during the end of year sale I bought the FSB, or I bought the DAS manager activation.
Okay.
And I told these guys, I was like, all right, man, like for real. Before that, I was like, all right, I'm done. I forgot. I bought Flex is what I did. I had bought Flex during the Black Friday sale, right? I already had the hardware.
You got a good deal on it then.
Yeah, I already had the hardware.
Oh.
So I bought the full master software activation. And then I had told these guys, yeah, that's it for sure. I'm done. Like I can't. That's it. We're done until taxes. And then Breedis rolled out their sale, and I was looking at it, and I was like, well, bye. Add cart, boom.
Just don't tell us.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do.
I mean, dude, I saved $850 on that sale. That's all I have to say. So that's a good chunk of money for what I got. I mean, for what I think.
You could save 15% or more in car insurance by switching to Geico.
Yeah.
Well, and your wife's part of the business, and she's got a financial background, so I'm sure she's got some input one way or another on that.
Well, I think, you're well set up there.
It's kind of funny you mentioned that because that is her role now. I've changed my whole operation, like how ordering keys or what have you, whatever we need to do for the business.
Sure.
She handles all the money now, and all I do is I just use the credit card. And the reason why I use the credit card was your whole situation there when you shared with us. That really opened my eyes. I was like, man, I gotta do something better than this. So I really started applying using my business credit card, and she'll pay it at the end of the week or end of the month, however she wants to handle it. Everything is on her. So
nice.
Yeah. I just look at her and say, can I? Yeah. I'm like, how much do I have? Because I need to buy something. So
can I buy this?
Yeah. I had my identity stolen in December, or I don't know if I call it identity stolen, but they got into my bank account and they tried transferring out money, a large sum of money. Luckily Wells Fargo clamped down on it, but I had to change every single bank account that I had, which is everything that's connected to it. So that was like a week's work. That was like a full-time job for a week, changing every single password and all the bank accounts and all that stuff. So that sucked. But so now it's 2-factor authentication on everything that I can possibly set it up on. And then credit card for every purchase online, and as much as possible, honestly, either cash or credit card. Like I have a check card, but I was like, why? I'm not even going to use this thing, because that's how they assumed they got my information. Although, who knows? I don't know. I don't know how any of that stuff works. I'm just trying to protect myself better, because it's such a pain in the ass to deal with.
Yeah, man. Like when you shared that, man, it was one of those things. Like, oh, like obviously we all know it's out there, right? Like it's been going on for years, but it's a little different when it hits somebody that you personally know, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And especially, I mean, you're in the same scene we are, so it's not uncommon. I mean, I'm sure your bank has a bunch of activity, obviously, just like ours. So when that happened, it was definitely an eye opener. I was like, man, I need to, I need to figure this out because I can't have that happen to me because that'll definitely decommission you for a few days, maybe even a week, depending on how long they take on their investigation to figure that out.
Right.
And I mean, you shut down your bank account for a week. It's a little hard to do business. You don't realize how much money you spend just operating business, whether it's buying a key code or buying a subscription or buying a connector.
Yeah, just realizing how much stuff is connected to your account.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, how fast you can be immobilized.
Yeah.
In your business.
Right. But yeah, I'll hand it to Wells Fargo. They did a good job there as far as shutting it down and working with me to get everything straightened out. And money wise, they didn't get anything, even though they had some pretty intimate access to my stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it could be a lot worse. That's the way I looked at it. Well, what else? Any other goals for 23 that you have specifically? I know we kind of mentioned a few here, but anything specific that we haven't brought up?
I think I could speak for both of us when we say bigger bands.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be nice.
I toy with the idea in my head of like finding a home base that isn't where I live, just to separate it a little bit more from family life. And it's like, if I could go to said office, do what I need to do there, and leave and go home, and not be up, in my office here until 2 a.m. and I have to be up at 6 to get on the road for 7. It's a vicious cycle, and that would be a nice thing to attain, but achievable definitely in some time, but I don't know what that looks like yet.
Yeah, same here. I'm shooting for. I got two major goals. One is getting a location, and then at the end of the year, buying Exentry. That is my end goal. I told myself, and I already missed the mark already for the first month. So I'm already behind. But my goal was to save $2,000 a month specifically for that, right? Set $2,000 aside, and then then at the end of the year, right? I mean, I would just cover whatever the difference is out of the account, but specifically save just for that. Those are my 2 goals for the year. So we'll see if I can get through them. But there's some other little goals and stuff, but kind of keep those hush. We just let the results speak for themselves,
Sure.
Kind of thing.
That's cool.
So,
yeah, a bigger van would be fantastic. I got the Transit Connect. My limitation is, kind of same like you were saying, Kyle, is the location, because my garage at my house is heated, and I like to keep most of my stuff in the van. And the heated garage obviously makes that possible when it's 20 below outside. Like, I can't leave all the battery stuff outside, but the garage is only so tall. So getting like one of those NV 2500s or whatever, or really the Transit Connect is as tall as it can be and still get in my garage, anything else. So I was trying to think of ways. I'm like, well, I'm not going to run a space heater out in the van and set the thing on fire. That's stupid. But I was like, I wonder if I could run some sort of tubing like out the side of my garage and like into a panel on the side of the van to keep it, above freezing inside of the thing. But then it's outside, there's a little, more potential for theft and stuff like that. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. It'd be nice to walk into the back of the van and stand up, not hit your head.
Yes, for sure.
I know Don feels that. We hear him all the time.
Sometimes dude, just like, I bunk my noggin all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, there was one time. I'll tell you what, man. I think it was the time I was doing that Mercedes steering lock, or I forgot what it was, because it was like a I don't know what it was. Like for a couple weeks, it was like, I don't know. I had like every other day or every couple of days, I was doing a steering lock. Like it just came in a wave.
Yeah,
like I was doing a bunch of Mercedes stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I mean, it was great. Don't get me wrong, the money's great.
Yeah,
But
they're fun.
I was going to get in it, and I opened the van, and I stepped up, and I don't know what I was thinking, but I had my head all the way up, and I just straight like whack, like hit the top of it, dude, and it like brought me to my knees. I'm not even kidding you. Like it brought me to the knees in the van, and it, like you could feel like just the tense.
Oh,
I don't know, the
Yeah,
muscles tense
yeah.
in the neck, like down the spine. I was like, oh my God. I was like, what in the fuck? Like, I'm over there like, ah. And I think I was talking to Kyle on the
yeah.
phone.
I was
And I
like,
was like, dude, I just wrecked my fucking head. And every word that you could think of, I was saying it, man. Like, it hurt, dude. Like, it hurt. It was one of those, like, oh man, I haven't been brought down to my knees in a long time. For it to bring me down, I mean, I dropped like a rock, man. It was like, poof. I
It's
was like,
something
oh.
about hitting your head that just makes you angry. And I
Yeah,
remember
I was
like
pissed.
on a hoist
I
to
was
work or
pissed.
whatever, you
Oh, yeah,
crack
that
your
was
head and
the
you're
worst.
just
No, yeah.
pissed, and there's no one to be pissed at. There's nothing like
Yep.
it's your fault. But
Yep. Yeah, of course, they're like your neighbors over there, like standing there laughing at you, and then his neighbor's like, "What are you laughing at?" And then he tells you, and then they're both laughing at you, and you're over there holding your head. Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Did that plenty of
I'll
times.
yell at you in a minute. I'm just in pain here.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
Exactly.
Yeah. Don and I
But,
chat probably. So we'll be on. It's just a little side.
Oh,
We'll
quite a
be on
bit.
a group chat
Quite a bit.
in our little group, and everyone joins. Everyone's here. All right, cool. Everyone's chatting up. Everyone's talking about what they're doing, or someone will all pipe in, and eventually everyone just leaves, and it's just Don and I. Like every time.
Yeah. Well,
Just
yeah. The conversation starts, and it's like we're like, "Hey, Mad Tech," we're like, "Hey, Mad Tech," and he doesn't say anything. Gino.
Yeah.
And I tell Kyle, I'm like, "Is it just you and I?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And then you go look at the phone, and he's like, "Yeah, it's just you and I." And I'm like, "Son of a bitch, where'd everybody just go?" I'm like, all right, whatever.
It's just like,
And it's funny because like our group chat, it's just like it usually starts, somebody calls because they're in something.
yeah,
And they're like, "Hey, I'm stuck.
Also,
Yeah, I'm stuck here." Da 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 da. And then after that, the rest of the day is like it's just calls back and forth, just because like, "Oh, I'm driving to the next shop. I'm bored."
yeah.
And it's like I get lonely, I guess. I mean,
I don't have friends.
but
so,
there's also
yeah.
little things like it helps. Yeah, there's some things that help. Like you'll be there messing with the car, and you're like, you're reading something out loud, trying to understand it. And then someone's like, "Oh yeah, I did that. Do this and do that." And then you go do it, and you're like, "Oh fuck, that was it. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
Don,
Yeah.
Don,
I can get out of here."
Yeah, that would take me 45 minutes to figure out by myself. So
Yeah.
I have this one memory specifically about that. I think Don and Mantak were just fighting this eco diesel.
Oh,
They were for the PCM. I just
yeah.
jump in, and then I hear it cranking, and then he's like, I see he's team viewed in, or I hear he's team viewed in. He's like, I just put this PCM and it won't start. I'm like, oh, just enable the fuel pump. Because I had done one like just that week, and he's like, he clicks it and it starts. He's like, son of a bitch, it worked.
We were there for like 35 minutes. Of course, neither one of us looked at service information.
Yeah,
We
it
were
says it
Mr.
right
Know-it-all.
there,
Yeah, I know, I do. I program stuff every day. I know what I'm doing. Yeah, right. Bullshit. Yeah.
One little thing, and that's what friends are for. Just
yeah. That one little thing where it's in service info. It tells you what to do.
Yeah.
But if you don't read it, you look like an idiot. I had it was a Toyota 4Runner today that needed the it was like a 0-point calibration and steering calibration and stuff like that. And I did it like 4 times. I'm like, why isn't this working? Well,
why are the lights still on?
You have to press the hill assist button while you're doing it. That's it. You just have to press the button while you're doing it, and it's fine. And I did it like 5 times before I actually pulled open my laptop and read the service info. I'm like, press the button. Okay.
Okay. I had something similar. It was a Lexus. I forget what car it was. 2019 or 2020. I can't remember. Was it a body shop? So do all the calibrations. Right? We did the radar. We shot the camera, the front camera. We did the bumper sensor calibration, right? The angle measurement. I forget the terminology, and people are probably gonna
azimuth
think I don't know what I'm doing, and I probably don't know what I'm doing. But anyways, I get done with it, and I'm pulling it out of the bay, and great, all the lights are off, cool, and I drive it. The intuitive parking light comes on and the pre-collision, all the freaking lights. I'm like, dude, what the hell? Why did all these lights turn on? And so then I scan it and I'm like, okay, whatever. It was the same thing as steering angle. Okay, cool. So I do the steering angle adjustment or whatever procedure, and that's great. And then I go throw it in reverse, and the steering, or not steering, but the park assist indicators are on or whatever. And I'm like, dude, what in the hell? And I'm over here clearing ROB, doing all these, like, I'm refreshing the health checks, right? Like, oh, I'm over here, former Toyota tech, think I should know this. I'm messaging PJ. I'm like, hey, dude, I'm sitting in the car. I have the computer there. It's hot. Like, I'm over there like, God damn it, I can't get this damn car. Message PJ. I'm like, hey, dude, tell him what's going on. And I snap a couple pictures, send it to him, and he was like, I think you have to put it in reverse and turn the wheel. And I'm reading it, and I'm like, son of a bitch, yes, that's exactly what you do. I have done this before. And I do it, and then bloop, light turns off, the reverse guidelines come back on the camera, and I'm like, oh my God. I did 34 health checks.
Oh, those take time.
I did 34. I did 34, and I told PJ, I was like, don't say anything. And he was like, it's okay. It's safe with me. So now everybody listening to this knows. Yeah, yep, exactly. So I had to throw that one out there, though, just because you brought that up. It was I felt like an idiot. I was like, oh my God, I'm such a jackass. But hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, when you hand the keys back, I don't know the difference. So.
Yeah. I walked in the office all confident. I'm like, yeah, man, everything's good to go. Yeah. I even put air in the tires. Yeah. I was like, oh, yeah. They're like, yeah, great. We'll call you for the next one. I'm like, yeah, cool. And in my head, I'm thinking, like, if they only knew I spent the last, 30, 40 minutes dicking around trying to figure out why the stupid light wouldn't turn off. And, well, yeah, go figure.
Is there any jobs where you go and you've been through it, so you know how to handle that situation, and you get it done in like a couple minutes? Do you ever just kind of sit in the car for a little while on your phone, like, boy, I'm gonna charge my full price for this. I got to make it look like I did something.
I used to, man. Now I don't. I just like, yep, that's done. They're like, that's it. I'm like, yep, that's it. You're done. Ford ABS modules are the best ones ever. I love those.
Sure.
Because I'm just like, ForeScan, as-built, Bloom, IVD learn, or whatever it is. I have VID learn. I can't remember the acronyms. Whatever. Boom, boom, boom. Cool. Lights off. Code's gone. Take it for a quick spin around the block. Make sure everything works. Okay, cool. Cycle the ignition a couple times. No codes. All right, later. Peace. Like in 5 minutes, dude. 5-10 minutes, you're done.
Yep.
Like, I don't even use IDS for those. I'm just like, no. Especially when they're used modules. I'm like, as built, and there we go. Away we go.
Simple. Yeah, ForeScan makes it easy.
Yep.
I've been using ForeScan a lot lately. I had a cluster.
It's great.
The other day.
It's a great tool.
IDS wouldn't do it. And the shop had IDS actually, and that's why they called me, because they're like, we can't program this cluster. And I tried, and it's the same thing, data error. And you went into as-built of IDS, and it had extra blocks that didn't exist in the as-built on Ford's website. And I eventually went to ForeScan, didn't exist in the module. Like, it just had less blocks. So
Ford, wow.
ForeScan just pulled it and did it, and it was good to go. And I was like, well, I'm glad I have this tool.
Yeah. No, seriously, dude. Like, it really, it's a lifesaver sometimes, man. I mean,
yep,
truly is.
Yeah, workarounds are keys. Like, just having that backup, that other tool that you can use, that other thing you can pull. Speaking
of workarounds, I had a 2018 428i BMW.
Okay.
Shop called me, and long story short, someone tried doing something with keys. I don't know what he was trying to do. Oh, yeah. But he bricked the FEM, right?
Oh,
and the FEM, for the obviously listeners that don't know, that's the BCM essentially. Well, that also keeps the key data. So it was a no-com. So the guy had given me the whole spiel over the phone. I said, look, man, you're looking at $500 to start. That gets you 90 minutes of time. Every hour after that's $150 an hour. So yeah, what we ended up doing was I took the FEM out, put it on the bench, used ACDP. ACDP has a restore function, and all you do is compare the label that's on the FEM. It'll give you the software base file, and on ACDP there's a huge list, and you just go and click, bloop, it fucking pulls the file from the internet, pushes it in via bench. Nice. And then I plugged it back into the car. I updated everything to the latest eye level with ISTA, and yep, we got a runner, man. And I look like a god to these guys because, well, the first day I had originally called, and they gave me the story, and I said, look, man, after I gave my prices, the guy was, I could tell, the tone of voice, how he wasn't comfortable with it. And I told him, I said, look, man, you call the dealer, piece of advice, I'm going to tell you right now, don't tell them anything that you did. I said, because if you tell them, they're probably not going to even accept the vehicle. They're going to tell you, no, sorry.
Yeah.
Or they're going to tell you need a FEM and you need 2 keys or whatever, however they're going to upsell it, which, that can be easily a few grand. I mean, my charge wasn't cheap either, but, it stayed there it stayed there in-house.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
And they didn't have to replace a module. But yeah, the point was that the workarounds, having the workarounds to do some of these jobs is definitely key.
Yeah. OE
tools like ACDP and
OE tools are great, and having the OE interface and whatnot is obviously 100% better. But again, then you can enable yourself to do dealer level stuff, but then also dealer level stuff can't do everything. Popular or contrary to popular belief at most shops, like, oh, you've got the factory tool, you can do it all. And it's like, well, no, what you're actually trying to do is borderline impossible, but I have this one tool that, that might make it happen.
Yeah. I have a 2011 Kia Sorento, and long story short is the Smartro unit went out on it. And my wife knows this lady, so that's the only reason why I even accepted the challenge. But with the help of Tommy, he kind of gave me some run through on how to enable it into the car. So the biggest hurdle for us was trying to find the module. I spent like 4 days looking for it. And I mean, when I say 4 days, couple of minutes here, maybe an hour there, but through the course of a week, I couldn't draw up anything. So then I told my wife one day, I said, hey, your job is to find this. I gave her the part number and the VIN, told her what it was. And yeah, man, she sat in the van while we were going around shop to shop, and it took her about 4 hours to find one.
Damn.
And I mean, I'm talking about 4 hours of solid searching the internet, calling people, verifying, waiting on hold, doing that whole thing. She found one, and I got it. And then, yeah, like I said, with the help of Tommy, he walked me through how to get it going onto the car. And well, now the car's not a brick anymore because she had taken it to the dealer, and the dealer said, yeah, the Smartro unit failed and it's no longer in production. So sorry, you're going to have to scrap your car. There's nothing we can do. Jesus. Because they told her that, well, we can't do a used Smartro here. And I guess she took it to a few other shops and they told her the same thing. So it was either scrap the car or we get it running. And it's still not running because there's other issues. But at least now it keys on and you're able to wake up the bus and communicate to everybody. And it cranks now. It's just a cranks no start. So
okay,
I'm actually waiting on her to get back to us to see what she wants to do, whether she's going to continue with us or
luckily
we part ways now.
Yeah, luckily in your situation, she gave you all of what she had as far as invoices and everything first, so you could see, hey, it had all these codes before this car became a paperweight.
And
then, hey, look, the same code is there after the car is not a brick. It's like, okay, there's something else going on besides your car.
Sure.
Ejecting the Smartro unit.
I do it, and I ring the chat and the car answers, and I'm like, the guy I need, our Diag guy, right? The guy that can find all the service info that we always need. He comes in clutch. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, yeah, you got to do this reset procedure after you replace that. And me and this guy Antonio, right, Mad Tech, we're always like, dude, how the fuck do you find this information? Like, I'm looking at the same goddamn all data you are. Like, how the hell? He's like, oh yeah, you're going to here, going to inspection, and I'm like, I'm looking at my phone, like just like right now, I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, man! Like shut up, man. There's no way. Like, whatever, dude, whatever.
I've
and it's funny. So we run through it.
I needed to get it. So
Yeah, we ran through it real quick, and then he was like, "All right, man." He's like, "Call it quits." He's like, "We'll gather yourself," and I was like, "All right," because he knows me pretty well. He knows when I get too frustrated to like think. He knows. He's like, "Hey, man, just stop." I'm like, "All right, dude." So then I'm on my way home and I'm thinking about it and I'm reading that invoice from the dealer. Right, I snapped a picture of it and I see the code that we were chasing, and I was like, dude,
Yep.
come on, man. I was like, come on, Don. Like, you're better than this, dude. Like, I wasted time dicking around with something that was already there before that I didn't even need to, because I started questioning, like, well, is it my process?
Yep.
Did I do this
Yep.
wrong?
Yep,
Like,
exactly.
It's always those, like, yeah.
I've been there so often where it's like, did I cause this? And then I believe that I know I caused this. I'm pretty sure I caused this. And so I'm doing all this testing, and then I come to find out, oh no, this is another problem. Okay.
Yeah, I had one of those with the shop called me they diagnosed the steering lock on a Mercedes. So they supplied a steering lock. They took it out and everything. They gave it to me, and I brought it back to them the next day, plugged it in. I tested it on the bench, and I took a video showing them, hey, key goes in, lock works, everything's good. Put it in the car, and the car doesn't even crank, doesn't do anything. So I'm like, I tried to explain to him, like, hey man, there's a car problem here. And I showed him all the proof on the scan tool, drive authorization, everything was there. He wasn't having any of it. Anyways, he walked away. And then I'm just like, I was waiting to get paid. So I just took 5 minutes. I popped the fuse panel, just kind of looking for obvious things. And I could see someone had been in there, and I saw a missing fuse. I was like, oh, okay. I waited for him to come back. I said, hey, look, this fuse is missing. I haven't touched anything. I just put the fuse back. And yeah, sure enough, it started. So it's like, I need to get paid here. And he was cool with it. He paid me. It's just like.
Probably never needed a steering lock. I don't know.
Probably never needed a steering lock because it was an auction car. And you know how those go.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
So he felt probably.
I refuse to look at them now, honestly. When I hear an auction car, I'm like, look, man, it's this much, no guarantee to start. If we continue, it's X amount of money per hour. And we can spend thousands of dollars here. I just don't know. We just don't know until you get in it.
Isn't it nuts how auction cars are all the same? Like, what is it?
No one wants to do them because they suck.
They either like arrive at the auction in terrible condition, and then people running the lot, I'll pull this fuse and I'll weasel like $2,000 out of this car.
Yeah. Oh no, that happens all the time. They're just missing fuses.
Yeah.
I had a BMW X1. They're like, yeah, it's an all keys lost, and I tell them like, hey man, I can't lease you. And I don't know if you can buy the key code from BMW to get the blade. I don't know. I told them, I said, I don't know, man. You're going to have to figure that part out. I was like, but is the car unlocked? He's like, yeah, it's unlocked. He's like, it's just missing the key. I just got it from the auction. All right. So he agrees to my price. I show up, and and this guy runs a shop, but he has like a small car dealer. It's weird. It's a weird scenario. I mean, very weird. Anyways, so I show up and I pull the FEM out and I, do my whole thing and I program the key and everything's great. And then I go to start it and it doesn't start. And I'm like, fuck. All right, well, dead battery or weak battery. Okay, cool. Jumper cable, jump pack. And then and all I hear is clunk, clunk, where the starter's like engaging. And I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, I'm like, what the hell? And then I actually like really pay attention to like underneath the hood. And I'm looking at it and I can see like the coils are disconnected. I'm like, oh God. So then I go ask one of the techs. I didn't have this is before I carried my 1/2-inch stuff. And this is another reason why I carried it. I'm like, hey bro, can I borrow a ratchet and some sockets? And he's like, yeah. And he gives me a couple sockets. I go out there. That freaking engine's locked. And I'm like, man, that's why you don't have no damn key. The damn engine's locked.
Yeah. I didn't want to sell it.
Yeah.
Sell it knowing the engine was locked. Come on.
Sure.
Yeah, again, auction car though.
Auction car.
Yep.
But it was one of those things like I questioned myself again because I was like, it's not starting.
Mm-hmm.
I just did the key. I just pulled the FEM out. Like, oh, there's something I did. And then when I had enough battery juice in it to actually get to, go give me a good thunk, I heard it and I was like, okay. I was like, two things here. That thing's locked up or this starter's jacked. One of the two. But.
Do you ever have a vehicle or situation where you're like fairly confident that it's not going to work. Like maybe you're doing something that you haven't tried before, or like a shop's trying to use a used module out of something different. And you're like, I'm pretty sure this isn't going to work. And then it does. I had one of those the other day. I had a Caravan. It was a 14 Caravan. They put a 19 3.6 in it and had a 16 PCM, and then they changed the harness too. And I was like, no, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And I was there for something else. I was there for a Toyota PCM. And I was like, oh, I'll hook up to it and I'll see. So I dinked around with the Autel. I got it to do, not easily, but I got it to do the PCM replace function. And the Win module did the thing, secret key, all this. The thing freaking fired up and started. I was flabbergasted. I was like, there's no way this is going to work. There's absolutely no way, because they changed the crank thing, the tone wheel between 14 and 19. But then they're like, the junkyard told them if you use this PCM, it'll work. And well, they were right.
What?
I couldn't believe it. I'm like, there's no way.
Wow. So this is a 19?
The engine was a 19.
And the PCM was a 16?
And the van was a 14.
Oh, 14. I'm sorry. I'm off like that. Oh, wow.
Wow.
So I guess
I'm putting a 19 engine in my Caravan.
yeah, no kidding. That's very odd.
The hardware for the PCM was completely different, although the hardware for the PCM matches 16 through 19 for the Caravan. But
so it's just a calibration.
Yeah, and
difference.
Right.
Interesting.
But that the Win module was satisfied with it.
Yeah, because
that's very interesting that was okay with that.
Yeah, that's what I said.
19 engine from Secure Gateway vehicle. The 16 is not Secure Gateway. So
no. Oh, so check this out. A 19 Caravan is not a Secure Gateway. We looked this up.
GPEC 2?
I don't know, but I actually looked up the diagram, and a 19 Caravan does not have a secure gateway module.
Really? Wow. So they were just continuing it to end the line and then switch over to the Chrysler.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So I guess they just kept it all the same. They're like, we're not adding in anything to this thing.
I think so. Yeah.
I think
actually that's wild, dude. I'm over here mind blown now. Like,
yeah, no, I couldn't believe it either.
Yeah, dude. If they would have told me that, I'd be like, "There's no fucking way." And then some other guy would have came in like, "Yeah, I'll give it a go," and then it works. And then then they would have thought like, "Oh yeah, that guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing." Like Jesus.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just
that's nuts, dude. That's nuts.
Yep.
I mean, we're all curious folk. That's also why we probably do what we do. So it's like there's always that little bit. It's like. I gotta try it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I'll do that. I'll be like, yeah, I want to give it a try just to see if it's possible.
Yeah. I want to be the first one to do it, right? Like, let me do it.
Yep.
Well, speaking of that, wanting to do it and try, another dude, he just recently went mobile. Fella had a BMW G chassis. It was a 525. 19 or 18, I can't remember.
Just started mobile at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, just started beginning mobile of the year. There's a body shop. You're already laughing because you already know this is going to be funny. So it was body shop. Blind spot was replaced, right? I forget, left or right or what have you. So he reaches out to me. Hey, man, we're talking about it. And I tell him, I'm like, look, man, I said, we could try it with a remote expert. I said, you have an Autel, right? 909 or Ultra or 919? He's like, yeah, I got one. I was like, all right, cool, man, let's try it. So we tried with iScan, and I learned a lot off of this car. And we programmed and coded the single module. Well, eye levels were off, right? So the other opposing blind spot didn't like what the new blind spot had as far as revisions go. Excuse me. And so I tell him, hey man, let me get home and I'll get ISTA fired up and we'll just do it with ISTA.
Mm-hmm.
And this is over RE, right? So okay. I'm sure other people
are ready to update a
car. Yeah. So we did the whole day in car, right? So we get to the head unit, right? We get to the HU, and it fails. Okay, cool. And ISTA will reattempt and try, and it reattempts and tries, fails. Reattempts and tries, fails. Okay. So then it fails, and then it gets done programming, and it just says, hey, we can't do the head unit, and it populates another test plan to, it's called abort programming for the head unit, which is just a recovery reprogram. And I learned that
it saves the HU unit. The first thing on an eye level is the backup HU.
Yep, I should have mentioned that. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Glad you brought that up. Yeah, so it'll do that. It'll read the revision that's in the HU and the coding, and then save it, save the data from it. So yeah, so then I'm like, hey man, well, and this guy took the car to his house because he had the best internet there.
Okay.
So he's got the car sitting in his driveway. He's got the car sitting in his I know. He's got the car sitting in his driveway. And you know, we got latency like reduced stupid low. Like he's hardwired in, I'm hardwired in, and all that jazz. And so yeah, we began the recovery attempt. Get to 47% on the head unit, fails, crashes. Okay, cool. ESSA says nope, sorry, can't. We run it again. Now this is about, I'm gonna say 3 hours into the head unit recovery program. So we already had done the car earlier in the day. Now it's probably like 9 o'clock at night now.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And it was just like we've been connected,
bro.
Yeah, we've been connected like 4 hours into it already. And anywho, man, it was 3:30 in the morning, and we were still going at it.
Jesus.
We were connected for 9 hours
Holy cow.
through remote expert. And check this out. So it gets, one of the events, it got to 96% and failed. 96%, and it failed on us. And I was so pissed. I was like,
Yeah.
come on, man. Like, what the hell? So yeah, anyways, we call it quits at 3:30 in the morning. And we had another guy help us out. Very, very, very talented guy. He's a really smart dude. He's bailed me out of some jams when I've needed it via remotely. He gives it a go with ESIS, and well, it ended up really bricking. Ended up really bricking. Like it was the bootloader was gone. Like it was done.
Hard brick.
It was hard brick. And truthfully, and this is where it gets good. It wasn't his fault, right? Come to find out, so that he tells the body shop, hey, look, this is how BMWs get programmed, blah, blah, blah. Body shop was a little upset, but they understood.
Yeah.
So they end up getting a used unit, and said guy uses ESIS and does the magic, and boom, gets it working in the car. Well, then it throws a code, right? And then the code, it's internal fan fault hardware failure. So the cooling fan on the radio failed. Yeah. So I'm over here telling this dude, I'm like, bro, rip that thing apart, rip apart the other one, swap the fans and plug it in and go get paid, bro. Like collect. Like that's it.
Yeah.
And well, he ended up telling he was a little gun shy about it, and I don't blame him. It had warranty stickers on it, void if removed, and the bolts were painted. So I understand, they didn't know what the body shop wanted to do. Well, the body shop said, no, we're going to send it to the dealer. So then they send it to the dealer. Then the dealer calls the body shop and says, hey, how did you guys get a used unit to work? Like, that's not possible. right? It's not possible. So it goes back again to, having OE tools is great, but sometimes you need the aftermarket to get things done.
Man.
So anyways, once the dealer told the body shop, oh yeah, these things fail all the time, blah, blah, blah. Body shop was more than forgiving to the guy that we were trying to help. So it was definitely a learning lesson for everybody there. And I bring it up because what I'm getting at is don't do a G chassis remotely.
Gotcha. Okay.
Or make sure you're there in person.
And another thing was the body shop had to explain that to the customer, right? Like now that the car is at the dealer.
Yeah.
So the customer tells the body shop, oh yeah, it's been giving me issues. It would glitch intermittently, or the maps would stop working. So it was an actual hardware problem with the dang radio. And we probably would have been okay doing it remote. Like we probably would have, we would have got through it. But come to find out, this thing had issues, underlying issues to begin with. So it was a learning lesson for, I think, everyone that was involved doing things remotely. But that's what I said, like before we got going. I said, a lot has happened in the 6 months. We've learned a lot. We've tried a lot of sketchy things.
Yeah, you forgot to mention that you actually sent your hard drive.
Oh yeah. So I know this guy.
And ICOM down to him.
Yeah, I know him pretty well. So I mail him overnight my ICOM and my ISTA setup, the switch box, the cables, everything, like my whole ISTA setup.
Yeah.
I just overnight, right?
Hook it up
but in that transition, and I tell him, I said, yeah, bro, we'll hook it up directly. I'll team view in because he's not familiar with it. I'll team view in, and then we'll start the programming session, and we'll get the radio restored. And between me mailing it and it getting there, we were still trying to recover it, and it ended up just failing. The radio just gave up. So truthfully, man, it probably would have gave up even with ISTA and the ICOM there. It was just something that we weren't going to get around, and we learned that lesson. But I'll tell you this much: I learned that lesson of like, okay, I'm not doing a G chassis full vehicle programming event.
Or at least, can you unplug the radio first, or is everyone upset because they're not all at the same software level?
I don't. Well, I would think so. I would think.
I don't know.
I think you'd probably have some code. I don't know. I mean, Justin Morgan would probably be the best person to ask for that.
Yeah. Justin Morgan, please in the comments tell us whether that'll work.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool. We gave it a go. We fucked around and found out real quick.
Yeah.
But hey, man, I mean, either somebody tells you that kind of stuff, or you figure that kind of stuff out on your own. And we figured it out on our own, and we learned. We learned, unfortunately. But luckily, none of us really came out of pocket on anything hardly, other than time. And I ate a little bit of some shipping costs there, but all in the name of science.
Yeah,
we learned some things.
Yeah,
that's usually what it's been for me too. When I screw something up, it's more time, which equates to money. But I haven't had to make any big purchases for something I've screwed up or anything like that. I'm usually able to recover or make something work. But it's just my time that it ends up being. But then you learn something out of it. So most of the time, it's worth it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you ran into one, didn't you? The Cummins.
Yeah, I bricked. That was a 21. I think it was a very new Cummins that bricked while I was trying to update it because they had some def issues where they fixed everything, but it wouldn't clear the warning message. And there was an update. Tried doing it. It bricked with YTech and. Like, oh crap, it's like a $2,500 module. So I took it home and was able to recover it on the bench, luckily. But yeah, that's a like makes you like, oh shit, what the hell? When you see it crash and then it won't go again, like son of a bitch.
You're like, do I cycle the key?
Right.
Yeah, is it safe? Is there a bootloader in this thing? Will it still turn on when the key's on? Like.
Yeah.
Well, I will say those Cummins controllers seem to be pretty resilient. I had another one this summer that I thought I bricked. That was because I was kind of messing around with it, but it recovered. So,
well, I'll tell you what, man. I've bricked a few modules since our last meeting here, and some were my fault, I guess you could say. Some were sloppy, not having a battery maintainer, whatever. I was able to recover some of those, but. I even had one, man, straight up with I/O via OBD. It was an E92, cloned it on the bench, or I read it in the car, read the original, plugged in the new one, connected to it, wrote the EEPROM, wrote the flash, go to disconnect, I disconnect, and nope, module crashed. Like it crashed in between the finish of the write and the disconnect.
That's
like,
weird.
I don't know, something happened. Yeah, something happened. And actually... I got it right here. It was it's one of those that are like sonic welded, right? Backings.
Oh, okay.
So like I cut this thing with a die grinder because I was like, I'm gonna bring it back to life just to see. Like,
you're cutting.
Yeah, I did it with a cutting wheel, and that was hard. And I short the boot pins and did just like IO terminal says, and I couldn't get it to ever connect again. And I don't know, it's probably my connections, but it's kind of useless too at the same time because I didn't read the shadow password, so I just gave up on that one. So that one's a memory. And this one, I looked up the part number, and the service model numbers were different from the original and the new one. Well, this is an updated module, and I called the dealer, verified numbers. The shop provided a receipt showing that this was a new purchase, and I was like, okay, so I ate the cost of the module. I mean, sure. I paid the shop. I paid the shop for it, and I was like, "Hey, man, my apologies. Don't know what happened. I truly don't. Like, it was nothing. Like, I have no explanation. Like, it just crashed, dude.
Yeah.
It just died.
Well, that's an odd time for it to fail too. That's usually
the
flash.
Yeah, and I was trying with HP tuners. I hopped in the van when it happened. I took it off, hopped in the van. I tried with HP tuners to see, like, let me just push something into this thing to get it to talk, and then, but nope, it's dead, man. Bootloader's gone. It won't even talk. So just happens. Name of the game, Just,
yep.
Nothing's perfect.
You just got to be ready. Yeah,
that's right.
So
have documentation and process and explanation
and but it was really weird.
Confidence in what you're doing.
Really weird to show up and be like, yeah, I can do that. Now that you show up and you're like, hey, the brand new module you just gave me is kaput. How much do I owe you? Do you check, cash? What do you want, man? Like, it was so weird. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I left there and I was thinking, like, do I go home? Like, how does this work? Like, I don't understand. Like, what are the rules here? Like, I don't understand.
Right.
Like, yeah. But it is what it is, man. Live and learn it.
Well, hey, has that shop called you again since?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I just was there. What is today? Wednesday? Tuesday? I went. Was it Friday? Friday, I was just there for a Diag forum, and ended up being. It was a misfire. Of course, they did plugs and coils, injectors. Still had a misfire. Yeah. Of course, we do a relative compression, and cylinder one's got low compression. I'm like, yeah. It's engine mechanical. I was like, that's the AFM cylinder too. So I'd look at the top end I'd pull the valve cover off and give her a peek just to see what you see. You might find something.
I found that though, like, you screw something up, you make a bad call, whatever. Like, as long as you've done everything else with that business, the proper way, and you've been prompt and accurate and all that, whatever, all the stuff that goes into doing this stuff right, they'll end up calling you again. It's like,
well, I mean, at the same time,
in any shop environment,
and at the same time too, man, it's like, who's really going to come and do it? I mean, if that's the case, if there's other people around, okay, cool, but when they can't do it, who are they going to call? I mean, if you have, obviously you can't show up and with the reputation, hey, I bricked the module, but I mean, if you do a couple jobs and you get them done, and you might be the more expensive guy or whatever, you're not there the same day or a couple days or whatever. I mean, they're going to call.
Yep.
It's going to happen. Just when you make your mistakes, man, you just got to own up to it and handle it right.
Exactly. That's the thing is, if you try to weasel out of it, that's probably where you're not going to get that call back.
Yeah, just don't. My thing is, I'm very blunt and direct when it comes to shops. Like, shops will call and like, yeah, well, we want this, or like whatever. They schedule and I end up showing up and we get the initial consultation going there, and I get the keys. I'm very direct, man. I specifically say, like, okay, what is the expectation here? I was like, I'm gonna set this very clear. Like, I'm not, and I tell them, like, I'm not trying to be rude. I just want to make sure that it's set up front that this is what you want. I'm going to provide you that. I want you guys to be happy when I leave here. I don't want any kind of confusion. And I tell them just like that. And man, honestly, at first, when I first started doing that, it was kind of like, I would kind of get a little, like, you could tell they'd get a little defensive or combative about it. Like, they wanted to bow up. But I learned how to approach that better. I would be like, hey man, look, I just want to be very clear, set this straight. I want you to be happy. When I leave here, I want whatever you call me for, I want that to be fulfilled. So what do you want exactly? And doing that, man, it helped me in my business big time with my customer base.
Cool, boys. Well, thanks for spending some time with me this evening. I appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it, dude.
Yeah, glad you're feeling better.
I'm not going through puberty anymore, so.
Oh, I died laughing when you sent that video, that voice message. I died laughing.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Of course, is the week I had to talk the whole week and training my employee. It couldn't have been the normal week when I'm in a van by myself. So.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll do it again.
We should Yeah, keep these 6 month
Sure.
update things.
I like
Kinda
it.
fun.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Kind of see. We can go back and see where we were at.
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. Document it after a
Yeah.
couple of years and see where we started out, where we ended up.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Oh man, that make me cry.
I know.
If I could get the places I want to be, it's like,
Man, I really who I'm real impressed with, and I mean it ain't no surprise, but man, Perkins' operation, dude, that guy, fuck, man,
Yeah.
unreal.
Yeah, it's
Like
crazy.
he's goals, man. Seeing what he has, that to me personally, man, that's goals
Oh,
to
yeah.
see where he's at. Is like, dude, from rolling around in a pickup truck, from getting fired to where he's at now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That new massive shop he got, like, dude, that's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like that's cool to see that. But again, too, I know he's a very sharp fella.
Oh, for
knows
sure.
his stuff. So
yeah. But it's good to see, people like that.
I mean, man, if he can do it, man. I mean, I'm not taking nothing away from him, but if he can do it, it's one of those things. It's an inspiration. It's like, dude, I can do it too. Like,
it makes it attainable.
Man? I mean,
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously taken the time to learn and do and apply and educate himself to the level he's at. I mean, it's definitely doable. I mean, if one person can do it, obviously many others can do it too.
Yep.
Just different ways about going about it.
Yes, sir. All right. That's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you to Don and Kyle for joining me once again. And maybe we'll do it again in 6 months and see where everybody's at once again. Also like to thank everybody for listening to the show and all the feedback I've been getting. Try to get back to everybody as I'm able, but I definitely appreciate that. So with that all out of the way, let's get out there, start fixing the world one car at a time.